Your gynecologist lied to you. PCOS isn't a hormonal disorder. It's a mitochondrial energy crisis. And before you spend 3 lakhs on IVF or resign yourself to birth control for life, you need to understand what's really happening inside your cells. I'm Mugdha, and this is Edible RX, where food becomes medicine. Today, I'm talking to Saloni, who heads the entire client services vertical at iThrive. She's worked with hundreds of women reversing PCOS, and what she's about to share will completely change how you actually think about your plate. Saloni, let's start here. A woman goes to a doctor she gets diagnosed with PCOS, and a doctor says, okay, your hormones are out of balance, here is some birth control, you just need to lose a little weight. What's the biggest lie she's just been told?
The first biggest lie that she's been told is her body is broken. And the second thing is, it is basically fundamentally your body is not working well. So it is not like that. It's at a cellular level that it is getting impacted.
So it's not a hormonal problem as much as a cellular problem.
Cellular problem. So it has more to do with the cellular energy production. I've been doing this for 7 years. 5 of them are here at iThrive.
I know.
And we have seen hundreds of women coming to us frustrated, irritated, and just done with those conventional treatments where they are put on birth control pills and they don't know the solution for it. To those women, my only thing would be it's about your cellular energy at a cell level, at a mitochondrial level. And that is what we need to tackle.
And you look at blood work to kind of get a sense of
We
that.
run the labs, we see the blood work, we see what the body is talking about, because this is not just to do with your hormones being haywire. It's to do with the root causes, kind of like inflammation, oxidative stress, insulin resistance that is often spoken about when it comes to PCOS.
So tell me, you said something called as cellular energy. What is the cellular energy? And like from the ovaries perspective, why is cellular energy important?
That's interesting. Now, ATP is the cellular currency. That means it's a currency for your cell. It's made in your mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of cell that we have learned also.
Yes,
always.
School, correct.
And in this case, what happens is now your ovaries, to function and to ovulate, it requires large number of these ATP molecules.
Okay.
Now, if your body's mitochondria are not functioning well, meaning it is dysfunction, then your body is not going to get enough amount of ATP. There's lack of ATP that's going to lead to anovulation, or the body is not going to let the ovaries ovulate. That means the release of egg is going to be impacted.
So PCOS is a mitochondrial problem?
Yes, it's more of a mitochondrial problem as compared to a hormonal problem, because it is to do with the energy production that is being impacted in your system.
Let that sink in, guys, that what you think is a hormone issue is actually a mitochondrial issue.
Yes.
Now, if the root cause is mitochondrial dysfunction, what would cause that? Because conventionally people think that a lot of women with PCOS also have insulin resistance, right?
Yes, you're right. Exactly. It is insulin resistance. Yes, it is one of the contributing factor, but it's more to do with your mitochondria not functioning well. When your cells are constantly flooded with glucose and insulin, your mitochondria gets overwhelmed. They start producing something called as reactive oxygen species, basically the cellular exhaust, or also known as reactive ROS, basically free radicals. Over time, this oxidative stress damages the mitochondria themselves and they become less efficient at making ATP. And this results in low mitochondrial functioning. And so you get stuck in the vicious cycle. So mitochondria are not working, ATP is not being made, ovary is getting impacted, and that is how you constantly...
And insulin resistance is going on in the background. So then there's like metabolic chaos,
hormonal chaos, everything all together.
So this is why then that just lose weight advice fails?
That's right, because even if you are eating a calorie deficit diet, it's not something that's going to help your mitochondria, because they are still going to damage your mitochondria as you're not eating the right nutrients that your body is requiring. So that is going to lead to impact on the ovulation that needs to happen.
So you might lose weight, but you won't really ovulate.
And I need to say this because, yes, it's something very personal to me. I have been facing issues with irregular periods, mostly driven by stress, I would say, because there was a phase where it was too stressful. And I can easily correlate with these women who come to us for helping and healing them. And this is where I would just want to give them the hope, right? Yes, with lifestyle, with management of stress, and with the right kind of food that you eat, this PCOS can be easily reversed.
So for those that think that the only path is either IVF or birth control, there's actually another path, and that path is food.
Food.
Wonderful.
That's the nutritious plate that you should be eating. And that path starts with actually understanding what your mitochondria needs in the form of food.
Now, before we actually get into protocols and phases and all these lovely things that we have, I want to ground this into something super practical. When a woman who's watching this with PCOS sits down to eat breakfast tomorrow morning, what's the single biggest mistake she's probably making?
She's probably not eating her breakfast, or she's doing intermittent fasting. Not the right thing to do. Or if she's something eating like black coffee and a protein bar, again, not the good thing to have. Or something where Indian diets are very high in carbs, that is upma and poha, without
So,
veggies
yeah.
and without proteins.
What is wrong with that?
Well, it is where your body is lacking proteins.
Uh-huh.
There's no good amount of fat that is required. For your hormones to function well, fat is also important.
And this is just carbs. Like it's going to spike your glucose even more.
So PCOS optimized breakfast would be more focused on proteins. Like you just have 3 eggs, you can make an anda bhurji out of it, and just add few vegetables like onion, tomatoes. Just spice it up with certain spices from our kitchen, and dhania on top. That's the best thing that you can have. But here's a catch. With PCOS, it is always important to club it with some kind of carbs.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be like sweet potato. Just you saute it on ghee, and that gives you good quality fat also.
That's like a perfect plate. You've got your
Exactly.
fat, protein, and carbs. So, we are front loading nutrients in the morning with actual real food.
Exactly. And eggs are one of the most perfect mitochondrial foods.
I love eggs.
They are affordable, accessible, easily you can go and have it, and they are packed with proteins, the amino acids that your body requires. You can't just run on fumes. You actually need to ovulate also in terms of when it comes to the PCOS functioning, and hence eggs are the perfect example for it.
So, I want to address something before we dive into the how. A lot of women watching this are either considering IVF or have already been through failed cycles. What do they need to know?
Well, IVF can be a beautiful option for some women, but here's what most doctors fail to tell, and they won't tell you. The underlying cause is untreated insulin resistance and mitochondrial dysfunction. Well, now in this, you are asking an embryo to implant and grow in an environment where the cells don't have enough energy to support it. So, even if fertilization happens, implantation often fails. The tragedy is that many women are spending 2 to 3 lakhs per cycle when 3 to 6 months of targeted mitochondrial nutrition can actually make them ovulate and get into natural ovulation stage.
Wow. So, it's sad that's happening, but this isn't really about anti IVF, right? It's just about us making sure that your body is really ready for whatever you're going to do.
Exactly. So whether you're trying to conceive or whether you want to undergo, whether you are planning to undergoing IVF, I just want to tell you all that it starts within your plate, what you eat, and it starts at your mitochondrial function.
So, now let's talk about food and let's talk about that plate. Okay, so what does a mitochondrial optimized PCOS plate actually look like?
Well, here's what I want every woman with PCOS to understand. So it starts in phases. Let's see, we divide it in like 3 phases. So phase 1 would be month 1 to 4.
So, if it is like if your mitochondria is severely damaged.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was where we need to get into optimization phase.
So, you said phases, right? Just walk me through them.
So the first phase is where we try to restore the insulin sensitivity. Okay, because we are speaking about the foundation and the fuel that your body requires. Coming to foundation, now the foundation is your protein that I've been speaking about.
Right.
It's the amino acids that are required, and your mitochondria actually needs amino acids. Irrespective of hormones also requiring amino acids. So yes, the foundation starts with protein. Now, if you ask me some good sources of protein, I would definitely hop on to just the non-vegetarian sources like eggs, mutton, chicken, and seafood.
Yeah.
Yes, fish. But I would say wild caught fishes would be the better ones, so that the potential toxins that would be coming in your body would be less.
How much protein? Because protein is all over social media everywhere, and now we have people making reels about protein. I made one. But how much protein are we talking about here? Like practically, what is the level a person needs
I would say it should go up around like 25 to 30 grams per meal.
per meal? Okay.
Now, this would be considering her weight loss also, that actually happens along with the PCOS, and we need to build the proteins and the muscle mass for these women. Now, the fuel. And this is where I'm going to challenge you what you have been told and what is wrong.
Here we go. The carb conversation.
That's a right catch, Mugdha. Yes, women with PCOS have been told like just give up on carbs, but it's not the right thing. Your body actually needs carb, and they tell you just to avoid it because of insulin resistance. But I will tell you something, because your body, since it has to make ATP, it has to start with glucose, because then it gets into different various cycles, right from glycolysis, Krebs cycle, that is the TCA cycle, and that is how ATP molecules are generated. Now, in this case, what you have to focus on is the complex carbs.
So we are not going keto for this, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
Definitely no, because keto is again no carb actually.
And it makes things worse. That's what I've
More
also
worse,
seen.
because your hormones actually need the right portion of carbs, proteins, and fats.
Tell me this, when like long-term keto happens now, what really happens to the woman's body?
So the body gets into a starvation mode where it understands that it's in a famine condition, and the body actually creates a negative mechanism for your system. So the famine for us also is like, we are not going to get this thing, so let's store on to those things. That's not the
And
right
ovulation
time.
is like a luxury then.
Exactly. And ovulation is very important when a woman has to release the eggs, and that is how the fertility keeps on improving in her case.
So, okay, I agree with you. I'm with you on this eating carbs, but all carbs are not created equal, right? And walk me through what that actually looks like on a plate. Because if you just say carbs, people are going to then just take like loads and loads of sugar and honey and everything, because Saloni said carbs are okay. So what do good carbs look like?
Well, let me give you a perfect example of carbs, and that you can have in like day wise, I would say. The meals itself. Where we just focus on Indian diets, because Indian diets tend to be carb rich and carb heavy. So we'll focus on that. Breakfast, if we want to start, we start with 3 eggs. That goes without saying. You can make any kind of egg recipes, add veggies to it. Then you pair it with side of roasted potato. You can just have sweet potato roasted at the side of it, and just spice it up with the spices that you like. Now, this would give you around 18 to 20 grams of proteins, and around somewhere some 30-50 grams of carbs, which is pretty okay to have at that particular period.
And it depends on how much sweet potato you're taking. So you can also keep it like 20-25 grams.
Exactly.
Okay. What about lunch then?
Coming to lunch, I would say focus on fish. If you can have non-vegetarian seafoods. If not fish, then we focus on sprouts as well, because that would be the vegetarian version. And we pair this with some kind of small portions of carbs again, and a good portion of salad alongside it.
So vegetables and fiber coming.
We're coming with it. It will be good if you make it in ghee, because again, good fat is coming inside your system.
So it's fish for protein, little bit of rice, and lots of veggies. So you're getting, and then fat, right? So you're getting a perfect meal there. Dinner?
Dinner, again, I would say if you can have non-vegetarian sources, you can have mutton broth. You can have mutton curry, which can be easily made with coconut, which is again a good kind of
Or
fat.
chicken also is okay. Like if you do
Yes.
chicken with the bone, okay.
So chicken also works. Again, very small portion of rice, or if you can just skip it and just have soup, that is also okay. And
What
we
about
have
like a nice sabzi, bhindi or something? Is that okay?
that's okay. You can have different sabzis also altogether. But then again, even if you're eating sabzi, like now people have this thing, if we are eating sabzi, we don't need salads. That's not the right thing. You'll still have to eat salads along with it.
We are eating rice at lunch and dinner.
Yes, that's right. We are eating rice at lunch and dinner. But the context is, if you see the plate, just visually see the plate, we are pairing it with good quality proteins
And fiber.
and fiber.
So it's not naked rice.
Naked rice.
What does that do? Like when you pair rice with protein and fiber, what is it really doing from the glucose? Because everyone's scared of rice and blood sugar spikes, right?
Yes. Now, pairing it with protein is going to make sure that your body is slowly releasing the glucose. So the sudden spikes that happens usually when you eat a carb rich or something very like dessert or sugary food, there's a sudden spike.
Correct.
Which we don't want, because that sudden spike is going to increase your insulin levels also. And this further turns into insulin resistance, which can be one of the predisposing factor for PCOS. So we don't want to do that. And pairing it with fiber is again going to release the glucose slowly in the bloodstream.
Now, a lot of people, a lot of women actually, because of the roller coaster of their blood sugar, they've gotten used to snacking. Now, in our phase one or the plans that you've designed, what's your take on snacking? Like, can people have snacks?
In phase one, I would say, where we are just setting up the foundation and fueling your body, I would say it's better to avoid it.
Like just 3 meals?
Just 3 meals. Firm meals, nutrient dense meals like breakfast, lunch, and dinner are pretty okay. Even if you want to snack, I will give you certain options because that is what the women want. So have something like sprouts bale.
Right, that's lovely.
So you add beautiful vegetables to it, just spice it up with the masalas that you like. So one bowl is pretty good enough. Secondly, eggs are again my go-to. That's the best thing that you can have. So few of these recipes is something that you can incorporate for snacking. But don't go with chips and the lays that are available.
So you mentioned eggs, you mentioned sprouts, you mentioned like just having clean, good protein. What about the quantity? Like, is it only the quality of food that matters when you're snacking, or is the quantity also important?
Well, the quantity is also important. Now, since I've been talking about sweet potato, let's take that example. Now, if you compare that sweet potato, boiled sweet potato, with a samosa,
Ew.
but that is how the comparison happens. The samosas really, even if you eat one, it's still going to give you enough extra excess calories with bad fat, increasing inflammation inside your body.
Rancid, refined oil. Yeah.
Exactly. But the sweet potato in turn is going to give you few complex carbs, and sweet potato also has fiber. So again, the slow release of glucose.
So you could eat a larger quantity of sweet potato, but actually not have the disastrous consequences of just one small samosa.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a team also needs to know about this. But next controversial topic, intermittent fasting, because every influencer who is a PCOS influencer is doing it and they tell everyone to go on intermittent fasting. Should they be doing it?
My take over here would be intermittent fasting can be effective for some people at the right time, not necessarily if you want to just focus on your mitochondrial functioning. For women with PCOS, especially who are like constantly overeating or over exercising also,
Or undereating
or
also, na?
undereating also, your body tends to go into a negative mechanism.
So it backfires then.
It backfires your body and it actually creates a very negative situation where your body is constantly under stress.
Okay, right, because fasting is a stressor.
Yes, fasting is a stressor, and if your mitochondria are already struggling, you're just adding on more stress to your mitochondria. In that, it starts depleting, and your body is not going to ovulate. Basically, the ovaries are not going to function well, and the ovulation is going to be impacted.
So then, when does it work? When is IF okay?
I would say once the optimization phase is done, like the phase one, then slowly we can start thinking about it in the phase two and phase three.
Okay. So what would be a good way to do intermittent fasting? What
Well,
time? Huh?
I would say like 12 to 14 hours of fasting is what you can begin with. Don't directly jump onto 16 to 18 hours of fasting. That is what the influencers are talking about, like on internet.
And morning or night?
I would say the night fasting would be
Okay.
better one. Well, I had a client, 29 years old, who hadn't ovulated for like 18 months, who was doing 16 is to 18 fasting, keto, and running 5 days a week. She thought she was doing everything right because that is what clients think. We added back carbs, we made her eat her breakfast, and reduced her exercise intensity. She ovulated for the first time in 2 months.
Because her body finally felt safe.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we've spoken about what to add. Bring in protein, eat clean carbs, use good fat. But what to really remove? Like what foods are actively, typically damaging mitochondria and making PCOS worse in an Indian diet?
Well, this is a great question, and very interesting answers are going to come over here for mitochondrial toxins that I usually call. Starting with our major Indian diet cooking starts with refined seed oils.
Ugh. I can't not make that face when you say refined seed oils.
It's the worst thing that you can do for your body at a cellular level. And the biggest culprits are going to come from the dalda, which people actually fry many things in. Then soybean oil, sunflower oil, canola oil. Few people say that this kind of groundnut oil is really good, but trust me, it is not, because this particular foods are very high in omega 6. Now, omega 6 fatty acids have a tendency to actually increase inflammation because it activates the inflammatory pathways inside your body. So, it's not serving the best purpose, and Indian diets lack omega 3.
But this is what everyone is cooking with, right? Like, so what do we use instead then?
Desi ghee, you can
Okay.
easily make it at home, and coconut oil is what I would say. Now, again, with Indian context, that clients usually ask us is, but for deep frying, what do we use? And for just tadka, what do we use? Well, if you want to cook it at a very high frequency or high flames, you should go ahead with coconut oil or desi ghee is what I would suggest. And if you just want to drizzle oil, so you can use Evo, that is extra virgin olive oil, and
But like one shouldn't cook at high temperatures with extra virgin olive oil.
that is right. So you should not be cooking. You can just drizzle it on the salads that you are opting for.
So when people make this switch from like these dirty oils to the fats that our ancestors actually used, what's the difference they'll notice?
So they'll have difference in their energy levels, and the inflammation is going to reduce tremendously in them.
So easy, right?
Yes.
What else? So oils, what is the next thing that you would want to eliminate?
Well, the second one is refined sugars, loved by everyone, and maida-based products. So this comes from your biscuits, the bakery products. Some people have this habit of having rusk in the morning, so that's another one potential thing. Then comes the store-bought pav that people usually tend to have, like the breads, and something like hidden sugars that we don't even see, which can be coming from the tomato ketchup
All these processed packaged sauces.
and sauces. So that is one thing. Then comes healthy breakfast cereals marketed as cornflakes and many things. So all these things are again one of the contributor to it.
So you're talking of these sugars hidden in things, but what about natural sugars like your jaggery and honey and dates? We often recommend it for other health conditions. What about PCOS?
I would say in the initial phase, that is the phase one that we are speaking about, I would definitely ask them to stop it
Okay.
because we are tackling at insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity. Then why do you want to have unnecessary sugars coming inside your body?
And then, then the third kind of toxin, you said there were three or four toxins, I think. I don't know. Yeah, which is the next one?
It's the wheat,
Okay.
loved by everyone. It's the staple of Indian diets because roti hum nahi chhodenge. But definitely that's going to have gluten, which is one of the compound in the wheat that actually triggers inflammation. And since we are talking about inflammation, we need to avoid inflammatory foods at any given cost.
Also, the wheat we get now is very different. It's not what our ancestors, if they did eat wheat also. So people keep cribbing about this, but my dadi used to eat wheat. It was different wheat. It's not the same wheat you get anymore. Anyway, this gluten topic I can talk for 3 hours.
So, when it comes to elimination, we go completely off the inflammatory foods in the phase one for 30 days. It's actual eliminating everything.
You said it's actual eliminating everything. What do they eat instead, Saloni? Because people are going to get scared.
That's right. So, instead, I have a very big list that you can have. You can have bajra, you can have jawar, you can even have rice. You can really make nice rice rotis out of it. You can even include oats
Okay.
because you can make porridges, you can make khichdi out of oats. And what interesting thing that we have also found recently is something where you make rotis out of tapioca.
Oh, yeah, this is very cool, right? Yeah, please explain that tapioca.
So you get tapioca starch, you just knead it well, like you just boil it in some small amount of hot water. You knead it so well and just add 1 teaspoon of ghee on top of it, and you actually can roll it like a roti. Some people can also add amaranth to it. That is another alternative to wheat. So,
But again, limited quantities, no? Because again, they'll be like Saloni said, I can eat tapioca starch rotis, and they'll take 4 rotis for.
no. So we stick to 1 rotis, max 2 rotis. But then you balance the proteins that I spoke about earlier.
Yeah, I think this is great because these millets and all also like are part of our traditional Indian staples. Like those were the crops that were grown in India before the agricultural revolution happened and wheat came in. So It's not really about going gluten free with packaged alternatives like gluten free cookies and breads, right? Like, I want people to understand that, because what's the problem with those?
Because that is again packed with many preservatives, sugars are added to it, the oil that is added, there's xanthan gum that is added, there's sunflower lecithin, there's rice bran oil, many things that are added.
Garbage.
Exactly. So you're putting this garbage inside your system. So imagine what's the system going to do for it. Instead, we just go with the alternatives and the replacements.
So, all right. Now, once insulin sensitivity is improving, what is phase two then?
Well, phase two is then where we go with the protectors and the amplifiers.
Okay.
Well, the protectors are the antioxidants, like which are going to scavenge those free radicals and the ROS that I was speaking about. Now, this comes from colorful fruits and vegetables.
Right.
Okay, it will come from carrots, which are good sources of beta carotene. Then it will come from purple cabbage, which will again have good anthocyanins inside it. Blueberries have anthocyanins. So we stick to colorful fruits and vegetables. Vitamin C coming from citrus fruits and like lemons.
So, lots of antioxidants and lots of nutrients coming in. So, we want to max antioxidants to reduce the reactive oxygen species, right? So, give me a phase two lunch example, like what actually people can eat.
Well, let's stick to colorful thali or rang birangi thali. And what we can do in this is we can just have mixed sabzi where we add lettuce, we add methi also. We can add beetroot, we can even add carrots into it, along with rice or any kind of millets that I discussed. Then we can also pair it with a protein that's coming from either tandoori chicken
Oh, yum.
or paneer if you can tolerate dairy.
Right.
So let's not avoid dairy in phase 2. So small amount is okay because your food should be very tasty and you have it with salads along with it.
So, there's like color, there's crunch, there's carbs, there's yummy protein,
Yes.
and the fiber is coming in, and the color is actually bringing all these antioxidants into your body.
One more thing, here we will also add 1 teaspoon of ghee. So whatever sabzi you're making, just make it in ghee.
Because then that's the good quality fat. Perfect. Why the specific combination?
Well, every color represents a different antioxidant. Now, if you see purple cabbage, it will have anthocyanins. If we see beetroots, it will also have good antioxidants inside it. We speak about methi. Methi has known like very good properties in terms of lowering down the blood glucose levels, and it is fiber again. So, all these antioxidants that are packed in this meal, along with the proteins that are coming from chicken and paneer, with a good quality fat, is going to serve the purpose that your mitochondria requires. And notice the spices that we have added, like jeera aids in digestion, hing, that is asafoetida, is good for bloating, and these some herbs like turmeric that we add, that is haldi, it has anti-inflammatory properties. Garlic that you can add to those meals would boost your immunity. Ginger is again one of the anti-inflammatory and antiviral for your body.
So that's like literally food as pharmacy in the Indian thali.
Exactly. This is why Ayurveda also tells us about these foods which are beneficial for your body and it helps in overcoming different kinds of symptoms that your body is showing.
So our ancestors understood cellular nutrition without having to explain the theory behind it.
Yes, they were smart.
So what about the amplifiers?
Now, amplifiers is where we speak about the micronutrients. They will come from food as well as it will come from supplements.
So this is where people usually say, can't I just get this from food?
Yes, yes, you can get it from food, but it is not the right kind of bioavailable form. Your body requires supplements in some or the other forms because it is required for various energy metabolism pathways. Let me give you an example of top 5 things that are there on my mind. Number 1, starting with magnesium. Magnesium plays a role in almost 300 plus enzymatic reactions in our body. Then coming to B vitamins, especially B2, B3, B5 are involved in energy metabolism pathways and producing ATPs. So that is important. Then coming to CoQ10, it is really essential for your mitochondrial function.
Absolutely.
Then comes omega 3, which is very important to reduce down the inflammation in your body. And this is why at iThrive, we have actually created our supplements line because we were actually tired with just giving supplements from different brands, but they were filled with synthetic flavors, agents, and too many preservatives. I think your face
I don't even
speaks
want to start
well
about
about
like
it.
how bad those supplements are. But yeah. So basically now we are saying phase 2 is food combined with strategic supplementation, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And what happens then?
So once you start getting into the phase 2 and you're having supplements and the right kind of food, your FSH to LH ratio changes. The hormones start coming in place and it's actually providing energy to your body.
And the cycle starts normalizing.
So by phase 3, your mitochondria have rebuilt its density. It's making ATPs that is required. Insulin sensitivity is improved. So your body is now working well. The inflammation is lowered down.
Right.
And it's a fine tuning step for your ovulation.
So in phase 3, of course, we are eating better to get the mitochondria to work better, but you also mentioned meal timing. What does that exactly look like?
So by phase 3, your mitochondrial function is restored.
Right.
We are getting more better with the strategic food that you are eating.
Right.
Now, coming to carb timing around your cycle is very important. Now, in your follicular phase, the first half of your cycle is the follicular phase. Now, in this cycle, your body is more into insulin sensitive phase. Now, over here, we can go up a little high on the carbs, like around 120 to 150 grams of carbohydrates that you can include in your follicular phase. In the kind of breakfast, if you want me to talk about, is you can have masala omelette with sweet potato or any seasonal fruit along with it. Lunch can be rajma chawal or some chicken and along with a little bit of rice and salad along with it. Dinner we fix to chicken curries and salads with small portion of grains or millets. Then comes the luteal phase.
Right.
That's the second half of the menstrual cycle. Now, in this phase, what happens is your body is into ovulation. Actually, not exactly ovulation, but it starts with ovulation and then the progesterone rises.
Correct.
So, what we do in luteal phase specifically is we'll go with like the lunch and breakfast, we can keep the same, but we reduce on the carb portion in the dinner. So, we can go ahead with grilled chicken and or machi, that is fish, grilled fish. You can have some wild caught fishes and pair it with salads. So we are going no carb and restricting the carbohydrates for your
And fat is there.
fat is there because you'll cook that in coconut oil or ghee itself. So apart from this is all about the food. Also with your mitochondrial health, circadian rhythm and your body's clock is very important.
True.
So as our ancestor did, as people usually say, they used to wake up with the sun and actually sleep with the sunset. That happens. Now that lifestyle for us is completely changed. We are awake at night. That's actually
With
disrupting
all the
your
blue light.
yes, and that's actually disrupting your mitochondrial functioning at a cellular level, which we don't want. So I would say like we should avoid these blue light exposure post sunset. Make sure that you're by bed by 9 or 10. Looks difficult, but you all can do it because that is good for your body. And make sure that you get good amount of 8 to 9 hours of sleep, which is a sound sleep for your body to function well in the next day.
So phase 3 is now becoming about precision nutrition, like the macros and the timings and circadian rhythm, everything optimized.
Yes, but it starts with only when you have optimized the initial phases. Then only you can get into the stage that you are planning to get into. And it all is going to tackle the mitochondrial dysfunction itself. And then further, it is.
Yeah, so you can't really do biohacking thing for mitochondria if your basics and foundation is not right. So tell me, is this phase 3 when ovulation actually returns?
Yes, actually, it returns like.
This again, you can look at the screen because it's technical.
For most women, we see first ovulations.
ऑडियो स्टॉप द रन वायर चेक कर
आता वैसा लॉट ऑफ टाइम आल्सो रिकॉर्डिंग का वो बहुत लंबा था वरना रेडी
स्टार्ट
For most women, we see the first ovulation somewhere between phase 1 and phase 2, usually around the second or fourth month is what we see. By phase 3, we are optimizing for consistency and fertility if that's the goal for the clients.
So I actually want to hear about a patient or a client story, right? Like give me a real example of how this has happened.
Okay, let me think. Well, thinking of Priya,
Not her real name, right?
Yeah, it's not a real name, but her story is very common and everyone would correlate. She was 30 years old, working in tech company and irregular periods for past 3 years. Classic PCOS presentation like weight gain around her abdomen, acne, hair thinning and fatigue. She had been like tired and she went to multiple doctors. They all said the same thing, like lose weight, maybe try metformin, or when you want to conceive, we'll go for IVF. She found us through an Instagram post. Someone had shared one of our PCOS reversal stories.
So, what was her baseline when she came to you?
Well, her fasting insulin was 18, like we want to see it under 5. Her HbA1c was pre diabetic. Her AMH was high, typically seen in PCOS, and her energy levels she rated 2 out of 10, which is very bad energy.
And what was she eating before she found us? Like, this is important to know.
Well, her old diet was skipping breakfast or just having chai biscuit, loved by everyone. Salad with boiled chicken for lunch. No dressing, no rice, no roti, so no carbs again that she's having. Handful of roasted chana as snacks, and dinner was usually dal roti, or she used to skip if she wasn't feeling hungry.
Right.
So looking after this is somewhere around 1200 calories that she's eating, which is mostly lacking in proteins and vegetables. Terrified with, like, she was literally terrified with rice and ghee if someone told her to eat. She was on a low carb, low fat diet.
So, like the classic under eating presentation.
Exactly. So we put her on phase 1 protocol initially, and here's what her exact diet or practically looked like. So her new protocol focused on eggs. The breakfast was 3 eggs with made out of omelette, adding vegetables to it. We gave her sweet potato that I was speaking about. So we included 3 eggs for her breakfast, and we placed it with sweet potato on side with spices like dhania and jeera. The lunch looked like mostly the chicken based bone broth because she was in for chicken eating, and we had like salads along with it. We served it with half katori of rice, and we just tossed lemon on top of it because better absorption. Dinner was mostly mutton curry, and it was cooked in coconut milk. Again, good quality of fat that we want. Made in traditional garam masalas that Indian spices speak about, and we gave it with steamed vegetables. She was now eating calories up to like 1800 to 2000 calorie that her body requires, making sure that we are giving her protein, carbs, and fats in the right amount and right quantity.
She must have been terrified, no?
Quite a lot. She was terrified. And she texted me like on day 2 or 3 something saying like I eat eggs every morning and ghee is there in everything. So am I going to increase or gain weight?
And did she gain weight?
Well, if you ask me, yes, she did gain weight, which was around 1 kgs of weight gain in the first month. But this was mostly attributed to the water and the glycogen as her body was
Like it was just building again.
building again, and it was rehydration if I have to put it in those words. But in the second month, she started losing fat, which is a very good thing, and she started building the muscles. More importantly, she also had seen improvement in her energy levels. Her brain fog went away. So her skin glowed, and people around her were just talking about like, did you get a facial done? And guess what? By the end of second month, she ovulated for the first time in 3 years
Wow.
with the right kind of food that actually supported her mitochondria.
So she was finally feeding her mitochondria with real food.
Yes, that's right. And here the irony is she was avoiding eggs, she was avoiding fat. And if you just see that we introduced it, it's actually shown good improvements and results. So it's not that always you should skip everything.
Okay, that was symptomatically. And her labs, what changed?
Well, her fasting insulin dropped to 6, testosterone level was normalized. Her thyroid function also improved, which we hadn't been targeting directly, but healthy mitochondria supports thyroid health. And now coming to her phase 3, that is thriving, regular cycles, and she doesn't need an IVF now because her mitochondria is working,
Wow.
ovaries are
You saved
working.
her a whole bunch of money, Saloni.
Yes, and she doesn't need a surgery also.
So that's the power of food is medicine. Okay, so someone's watching this right now thinking, I want to do this. Where do I start?
So we start with phase 1, and to make it easier, what we have created is a 7-day mitochondrial metabolic reset meal plan that you can download for free.
Can I call it like the PCOS meal plan?
Yes, we can call it whatever we want to. And what makes it different from the every other PCOS plan is it is organized by the phases that I already
The
mentioned.
follicular luteal, right?
And we start balancing the hormones, and it's not just about cutting calories or just taking in calories. It's the right food designed to support your mitochondria, and it helps in building the ATP.
So this PCOS diet plan basically is going to give people what to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner for a 7-day period, and it's like a walkthrough of exactly how many macros coming in through each meal, right? And based on everything you've described so far about like what the perfect plate looks like, it sounds to me that that's not going to be a diet at all. It's going to be more like a feast.
And that's the point that we have to emphasize. It's not always about diet. It's not actually restricting, but it's nourishing your body. So every single ingredient is chosen for a particular reason.
And will we provide that data about why those ingredients
Yes.
in the diet plan once they download it?
Yes.
Super. That'll be really, really great. Will this all be like Indian food or people will have to make kale smoothies?
Well, I don't. I am going to say, like, no, it's not going to be kale smoothies and green juices. It's going to be Indian based diets only. And we have very good Indian foods and herbs, like the traditional
Like
local,
actual superfoods.
yes, locally available foods. And those are our superfoods that people and our ancestors have been eating throughout their lifetime also. So we'll be including that. With Indian cuisine, only one thing that we need to be aware is removing all those inflammatory foods that I spoke about.
And it's going to be 7 days of pure guidance of exactly what to eat. That is really, really great, Saloni.
So this is what I love about the food. Like each recipe will have the ingredients and why this particular meal is going to be beneficial for the mitochondrial function is going to be mentioned.
I love this PDF already.
Yes.
So, Saloni, last question. What do you want to say to the women or the woman who's watching this, who's been told that her only options are medication or IVF?
Well, I want to tell you all that your body is not broken. PCOS is not a life sentence. Usually, women think this. It is a metabolic dysfunction, and metabolic dysfunction is easily reversible. And we have done this. So, your ovaries are waiting for your mitochondria to recover, and that recovery has a specific nutritional roadmap that we have already discussed. You don't have to figure it out all alone.
Absolutely. Download the meal plan. That's step one. What's step two, Saloni?
So, if you have already done your labs and if you have some of the blood work along with you, we can actually set up a free 15 minutes mitochondrial health audit. And let's look at your insulin, let's look at your thyroid, let's look at your inflammatory markers and tell you exactly where you are on the spectrum and what your body actually requires.
And if you don't have labs,
I will tell you that you should get your labs done then. Most doctors aren't testing the right things. So we want your HbA1c, we want your inflammatory markers, insulin, complete thyroid panel, vitamin D, magnesium, B complexes that I've been speaking about. And this actually tells us about the mitochondrial dysfunction.
this, you know what, is not about managing PCOS, but it's really about reversing it.
Exactly. And this is about getting your life back.
So links to download the 7-day my PCOS meal plan are going to be in the show notes in the description. To book your free health audit, that's in the description below as well. And if this resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, because PCOS is not a reproductive problem that's affecting your energy. It's an energy problem that's affecting your reproduction, and now you know how to fix it.
That's right.
And thank you for watching this. Stay tuned for the next Edible RX, where we're going to cover foods that you need to eat for better heart health.